Good evening. On behalf of the Newark Public Library, welcome to tonight's program. I'm Tom Ankner, Director of the Charles F. Cummings, New Jersey Information Center at the library. Tonight we are featuring a virtual tour of Newark by Oscar Israelowitz, a author of the book Welcome Back to Newark. Oscar will be discussing sites around the city and talking about Newark's history. We invite audience members to type questions and comments in the chat box, but we ask that everyone leave their cameras and microphones off. Oscar will answer as many questions as possible after his presentation, and Beth and I might be helping as well. Now let me introduce tonight's speaker. Oscar Israelowitz was born in Brussels, Belgium. He has degrees in geology and architecture and is a licensed tour guide. He has given talks before a wide range of organizations and is the author of 30 books. Among his books are Welcome Back to New Jersey, Jewish New Jersey, and the book that is the basis for tonight's talk, Welcome Back to Newark. It is my pleasure to introduce Oscar Israelowitz. Welcome, Oscar.
Thank you very much for this wonderful introduction. Can we have the first slide? Okay. Okay, yes. Again, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. My name is Oscar Israelowitz, and I'm the author and publisher of this book called Welcome Back to Newark, which was a fun project. I spent several years doing research on Newark and New Jersey, and I came upon some wonderful historical tidbits. And this book is basically an illustrated guide to the city of Newark. So let's begin with our second slide. The Pioneer Newark Airport. Newark Metropolitan Airport was inspired by the transatlantic flight of Charles A. Lindbergh in May 1927. Mayor Thomas Raymond and other leading Newark citizens created Newark Airport from marshland on October 1st, 1928. Newark Metropolitan Airport, today's Newark Liberty International Airport, was the first major airport in the United States. It had a 1,600-foot long runway, the first hard surface strip of any commercial airport in the nation. In 1929, Newark was designated as the Metropolitan Airmail Terminus, and by 1930 was the busiest airport in the world. The next slide, please. The administration building at the airport is known as Building Number 1, was built in 1934. It was dedicated by Amelia Earhart in 1935. Newark Airport has been associated with many famous aviators, including Wiley Post and Howard Hughes, who housed experimental airplanes in one of the hangars. In 2001, Building Number 1 was relocated 1/2 mile to the north end of the airport. During the restoration of the building by architects Beyer, Blinder, and Bell, the original Art Deco lobby with its ornate terrazzo floor inscription of CWA. Next slide, please. Okay, here we see a DC-2, the propeller one, and the original Building Number 1. That was the main arrivals building and the main departure hall all at the same time, and the observation tower. So you got your ticket, you purchased your ticket in this building, and you had your luggage, and you carried your luggage onto the plane, or they took your luggage and they put it onto the plane. They were small planes, and everything changed dramatically. They didn't have security checks. You weren't allowed to take more than so many ounces of water. There were no restrictions. It was a free world in those days. Our next slide, please. This is the lobby of that Building Number 1. It's been restored. It says CWA, which stands for the Civil Works Administration, 1934. That was like the WPA kind of Works Progress Administration. And it was basically for unemployed artists. And they were employed to help design this beautiful lobby. The lobby has been transformed into a beautiful little museum, and it is open to the public. I don't know about these days with the pandemic, but before the pandemic, it was open to anybody and everyone. It's just a matter of finding the building It's at the north end of the airport near Route 919, I guess. And you can check my book, actually, and it'll give you the exact location. Now, it houses nowadays, it houses next slide, please. This is the building. Okay, there you go. This is the exterior of the building, but you have to go into the courtyard. It's surrounded by other buildings, and you will not see this from the outside complex. You'll have to go inside the museum, go through these revolving doors, and then you will have this view. So the upstairs was the observation tower where they could see where planes are coming and going, and they can control incoming and outgoing planes. So this is the museum at Liberty International Airport. Next slide, please. Okay, our next topic is the Morris Canal, which was a 107-mile canal crossing New Jersey. It connected two industrial cities of Phillipsburg and Newark, and also Jersey City. It was started in 1831, and the problem with the canal was actually brought anthracite coal from the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania all the way across northern New Jersey to the industrial cities, and created all kinds of, well, it helped build up the factories and in the industry of New Jersey. Now, it was 100 miles long. It took 5 days to traverse its entire length. You'll notice on the right side, there's a path that is known as the tow path, T-O-W, and there would be mules which would be pulling these barges. The barges didn't have any motors, and they would be just pulled all the way from Phillipsburg way down to Newark and or Jersey City. And when you had a change of elevation, there were different procedures of how to handle that. One way of doing that, of getting the barges down, was through locks, as in Panama Canal, where the water drops down to the different level and then rises up to the next level, or vice versa. And another way was doing something called an inclined plane. Next slide, please. Here we see the canal going through the center city of Newark, through the industrial zone. You see the mules or horses. They also used horses that pull these barges. Next slide. And this is an interesting slide because it shows the Morris Canal on the left side running 10 feet away from the Passaic River on the right. So there's this little landmass of the towpath, and you can actually see the cable or the rope on the right side we're being pulled by those horses or mules further up. Next slide. And here we see an inclined plane. There were different procedures of how to pull up the barges or drop them down. One way was like an elevator, where you have a counterweight, where with two barges, one would be pulled up, one would be going, and they would counterweigh each other, one ascending, one descending. Some inclined planes had barges riding on iron tracks, which were pulled up or down by iron overshot water wheels. These were replaced with Scotch turbines, which produced 235 horsepower, pulling up the barges up and down by steel cables designed by John A. Roebling, who also designed the Brooklyn Bridge. Next slide, please. The canal was closed in 1922. So here we see another view of a barge being pulled up. You see the tracks underneath, and this is one of the inclined planes. Very interesting process. Next slide, please. Now, the Newark City subway, for the most part, was constructed in the bed of the old Morris Canal. The Morris Canal was officially closed in, gosh, what was that, 1922. And the city, well, it was given over to the state of New Jersey. And they decided that let's build a subway. So they drained the canal and they reinforced the walls with concrete retaining walls. You'll notice also, look at the building on the left. It's got a retaining wall with stones. Those stones we're going to talk about a little bit later were made from Newark sandstone or brownstone. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the geology of Newark later on. So this slide basically shows the beginnings of the construction of the Newark subway. Well, the subway is not like the New York City subway, which has something like 476 stations. This has maybe 10, 15 stations, and it's not a, well, now it's the light rail, but which has 2 cars, give or less. You have more or less, rather. And but the New York subways have as many as 10 cars. This is basically like an old trolley line. Next slide, please. And here we see the trolleys, which came down from the existing trolley lines on the streets of Newark, and they came down into the bed of the old Morris Canal. Next slide, please. Here we see the interior of one of these trolleys. This is about maybe 1935 or so, a little over 1930. And you'll notice on top, you have the, well, look at straight ahead, you actually see the conductor or the motorman or the operator was standing the whole time while he was driving. And over here, over the center, you see the word Orange that was going towards Orange, New Jersey. It's reversed because it's looking from the other side, from the outside, from the front end. And you'll notice the men also, most of the men have hats, if not all of them. In those days, hats were very common in society. Next slide, please. Then in 1935 or so, they replaced the old trolleys with what they call PCC cars, which were basically the President's Conference Committee car. Actually, this was a little bit later, maybe 1940 or so. It was an Art Deco inspired streamlined design. It was a comfortable, quiet, and fast accelerating and braking streetcar that would be operated by a seated operator using floor-mounted pedal controls. They were introduced in the 1930s. We're looking now at the Franklin Avenue station, which basically does not exist anymore. It's been replaced. It's called now the Branch Brook Park station. That was the, I believe, one of the last stops. Then it made a loop and returned down. Next slide, please. Now we're underground. Now the majority of the center city stations were underground, basically below Raymond Boulevard. And you'll notice the seated conductor, the operator of the trolley. And it says here that this trolley is going to be in the direction of Pennsylvania Station. Next slide, please. Okay, a little bit about the artwork of the subway station. Domenico Mortalito was born in 1906 in Newark, New Jersey, and died in 1994. His art career began when he was able to graduate a year early from the Newark School of Fine and Industrial Arts in 1922, and then entered Pratt Institute in Brooklyn. He operated his own studio in New York City from 1927 to 1942, during which time he participated in the Works Progress Administration, the WPA, and some other federal art project public programs. The work he produced included murals for World's Fair pavilions, churches, luxury liner ships, and trains, architectural decorations for public buildings, sculpture, and furniture. He created 20 glazed tile murals for the Newark subway system. Mortalito chose to depict scenes from his childhood growing up near the Morris Canal, the site of the present subway, which is now the site of the present subway system. The murals were installed in 1935 and were the first use of public art for an underground transit line in the United States. The murals, about 2 different per station, at Pennsylvania Station, Broad Street, which is Military Park, Washington Street, and Warren Street. Additionally, there is a tile mural memorial to Domenico Mortalito in the above-ground Branch Brook Park Station, which was at one time called Franklin Avenue Station. We just saw that a minute ago. Let's continue. This is a scene of the Morris Canal. This is in the subway system of Newark. Next slide, please. Okay, and it shows the construction, and you'll see it's a WPA style work, almost like Diego Rivera or Ben Shawn, and it shows very muscular men. Next slide, please. And here we see, very interesting, the canal itself. We spoke about the inclined planes, and here we see a depiction in the subway system of Newark of a mule pulling one of those barges down the inclined plane. Next slide. Another construction. Again, you'll notice the muscular men. You don't see too many faces here. Next. Now, this basically was a little bit of Domenico Martelletti's childhood. They went skinny dipping in the Morris Canal. Just imagine the toxic soup, the chemicals, and all the pollutants in this waterway, and they went swimming and in the buff yet. Next slide, please. There was one additional mosaic in the subway system, which is basically lost to the public. It shows the lower level. It depicts the barges along the Morris Canal. The upper half of the mosaic depicts a trolley. So we have the transition from the Morris Canal, and it juxtaposes the evolution of the canal into the subway system. And this one, nobody knows where it is. I asked a whole bunch of people, no answers. Next, please. We're going to be talking a little bit about the railroads. Hold on. And this was the Erie-Lackawanna. And this was at the Broad Street station. It was on grade. Nowadays, it's been raised up. It's an elevated system, and it crosses over the Passaic River. Next, please. And here we see Newark, Pennsylvania station, which was basically part of the Amtrak's Northeast Corridor, which ran from Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Newark, New York City, and Boston. The station was designed by the architectural firm of McKim, Mead, and White in the Art Deco and neoclassical styles in 1935. That firm also designed Manhattan's ill-fated Pennsylvania station in 1910, which was demolished in 1963. Both stations were designed to accommodate the Pennsylvania Railroad lines. Next slide, please. And here we see the interior of the Pennsylvania station in Newark. And you notice the logo of the old Pennsylvania Railroad, which does not really exist now. It's been eaten up by Amtrak. Then you also notice Raymond Plaza West on the lower part of this slide. Next, please. Now, we spoke about the subway or the Morris Canal that was covered over, and the subway is underground in Center City, but it's below Raymond Boulevard. And at 1180 Raymond Boulevard, there's a spectacular Art Deco high-rise building designed in 1930 by the noted architect Frank Grad. He also designed the Newark Symphony Hall, Beth Israel Hospital, and a whole bunch of other buildings. We're not going to get into the others at this point. The structure was originally built as a 35-story office tower and was called the Left Court Newark. Now, if you look below the clock, you can see it looks almost like a W, but actually there's an L on the left side and there's an N on the right side. Let's go to the next slide, please. And we see here on the elevator doors, the NL, the left court, or the LN, left court Newark is more visible. And this building is now a luxury residential tower. Okay, let's continue. Next. We're now looking at the Newark Symphony Hall, which was built in 1925. We're going to show a few buildings designed by Frank Grad. And this was built as the Shriners, or was built for the Shriners at the Salam Temple. It was inaugurated in September 8th, 1925. Next to the word Salam Temple, there's some letters, AAONNS, which stands for Ancient Arabic Order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, the Shriners. Next slide, please. It was a 2,800-seat main auditorium decorated in neoclassical style with elements of Middle Eastern and Egyptian styles. Next slide, please. And this is the exit, a grand exit or grand entranceway into the auditorium. Now, in 1964, well, actually, when it was in operation, among those who appeared at the Mosque Theater, it was also known as the Mosque Theater, some of the personalities who performed there included George Gershwin, Vladimir Horowitz, Marian Anderson, and also the New Jersey Symphony Orchestra and the New Jersey State Opera was housed in this building as well. In 1964, the Floundering Mosque Theater was also a movie theater at one point, a grand movie theater. So in 1964, the Floundering Mosque Theater was on the verge of bankruptcy, and there was a threat of it being torn down. Saul Urach, the great impresario who had presented many of his artists there, commented, "It is one of the great concert halls of the country with marvelous acoustics and great sight lines. It must be preserved." It was renamed Symphony Hall at that time. It was purchased by the city for $340,000 and became a nonprofit organization. Among the opera companies and stars who have appeared at Symphony Hall are the Metropolitan Opera Company, Jerome Hines, Beverly Sills, Roberta Peters, Leontine Price, Robert Merrill, Victor Borga, Judy Garland, Bob Dylan, Patti LaBelle, Richard Pryor, Count Basie, Queen Latifah, Gladys Knight, The Temptations, the Rolling Stones, Eric Clapton, and Tony Bennett. What a lineup. So Symphony Hall is now listed as a National Historic Landmark. Next slide, please. We are looking at the steel frame of the Newark Beth Israel Hospital. It was organized in 1908. Its first building was on High and West Kinney Streets. This view shows the steel frame of the present building, which was opened in 1928. Next slide, please. Felix Fuld and his partner Louis Bamberger donated over $3.5 million for its construction. It is now run by the St. Barnabas Hospital System. Part of the deal with St. Barnabas was that Beth Israel retain its name and also its logo, which was the Star of David. Paula Ben-Gurion, the wife of Israel's first prime minister, attended Beth Israel Hospital Nursing School. And this building was designed by Frank Grad. Next slide. The Stanley Movie Theater at 983 Orange Avenue was part of the Warner Brothers movie empire. It was designed in 1927 by Frank Grad. So he got around this Frank Grad. It was designed in the Spanish Mission style. It later became an Italian-American social club and restaurant called the Casa Italiano. It is now the Newark Gospel Tabernacle. Next slide, please. Okay. The First Presbyterian Church in Newark, also known as the Old First Church, was founded in 1666 by Robert Treat and Abraham Pearson when they broke off from a Puritan New Haven colony in Brantford, Connecticut. It was the church that founded Newark. It was once the seat of government for Newark, producing pastors that served as the first presidents of Princeton, Harvard, and Yale universities. The present church, which is the third building, was opened for prayer on January 1st, 1791. It was constructed using Newark series brownstone. We'll talk about that in a minute. George Washington was safely harbored in this church during his retreat across New Jersey. Now, you'll notice that there are trains in the foreground. That used to be part of the Central Railroad of New Jersey, Broad Street Terminal. If you've ever been to Liberty State Park, there is another Central Railroad of New Jersey terminal along the harbor of New York, opposite Ellis Island. So this was the Newark terminus, the Broad Street Terminal. In the 1930s, this is the 1930s view. You see the Old First Church to the right of the trains. And the Hotel Indigo, actually, that's the tall building just to the right. It says National State Bank. So the Hotel Indigo is now occupying the original National State Bank building. Now, part of the arrangement for building that bank building was that it would not go above the steeple of the Old First Church. This was in honor of the history of Newark. They just decided let's not, well, that didn't stop any other buildings from getting higher or being built higher than that. You'll notice the flags just to the right of the steeple. That is on top of the old Bamberger's department store, which we'll talk about a little bit later. You'll also notice on the right side of the image some gravestones. That used to be the graveyard. Actually, Old First Church used to be on the other side, on the west side of Broad Street, and there was another cemetery there as well. Those graves would transfer, when they tore that building down, they transferred over to this cemetery on the east side of Broad Street. And now all of these tombstones, for the most part, have been transferred to, one second. Fairmont Cemetery. And there's a monument to all of these. They call the Old Settlers Monument. Next slide, please. This is the interior of the Old First Church. It's gorgeous. Next slide, please. We're going to talk a little bit about the geology, rather, of Newark. A rose-colored sandstone of the Orange Mountains and that of Newark's own Bloomfield Avenue quarries near the Cathedral Basilica of the Sacred Heart were a distinct product of the city. Sandstone was considered one of the township's most valuable products throughout the first quarter century of the 19th century. In fact, the Shoemaker map of 1806 indicated that Newark was important in the making of leather goods, leather shoes, saddles, cider, and for the quarrying of brownstone. Newark's earliest quarrying operations began about 1700. As a result, many of Newark's finest buildings were constructed of it, and the best gravestones carved from it. The pleasing shades of color, evenness of grain, and durability commanded a ready market. The imposing walls of the Old First Church, the Lyons Farm Schoolhouse, the old Essex County Prison, as well as a Georgian-style plume house were crafted from local Newark series brownstone. And here we see the plume house, and hold on one second, is the second oldest house in Newark. It was built by descendants of Samuel Plume, who was one of the original settlers of Newark it was built between 1710 and 1725. And it was built from Newark series sandstone. Next slide, please. The Krueger House was founded by Mr. Krueger. He owned the brewing company, the Krueger Brewing Company. He was a German immigrant turned wealthy beer baron. He built his castle in the highest section of Newark, along High Street, or now it's called Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, in the wealthy German section of High and Court Streets. He spent $250,000 to outdo the Valentine Mansion. The structure was designed in 1888 in the Victorian style, had 40 rooms, 6 chimneys, and New Jersey's first residential elevator. In 1926, the building was sold for $100,000 to the Valley of Newark Scottish Rite Freemasons. They constructed a 700-seat auditorium for their rituals. The mansion was then sold, later sold, once more in 1958 to Louise Scott for $85,000, who turned the first floor into a beauty college and daycare center and lived in the upper levels. She became Newark's first African-American millionairess. Upon her death in 1982, she willed the mansion to the city of Newark. There were plans on converting the mansion into the Newark African-American Cultural Center. Millions of dollars were poured into this project in order to stabilize the structure, fix the roof, etc. The federal government was also involved in this project and also invested heavily. After all that work and all those investments, the monies dried up. The project was shut down. The building has been declared a National Historic Landmark in the meantime. Now, these days, in 2021, Rutgers University, Newark, and NJIT professors, students, and artists are employing state-of-the-art imaging, scanning, and 3D modeling technology to unlock the history of Newark's famed Krueger Scott Mansion, an effort that is part of the New Set Americans Project's initiative to create virtual immigrant history tours of Newark. And next slide, please. If you'll notice carefully, it's a brick structure, but the details around the front portico are made out of Newark sandstone or brownstone. Beautifully carved images. Next slide, please. Another brownstone structure is the old Lyons Farm Schoolhouse. Was built in 1784 of local brownstone, replacing an older wooden structure that had burned down. It was located on the corner of Elizabeth and Chancellor Avenues, just west of today's Wickery Park. Children in the original one-room schoolhouse witnessed General George Washington and his army as he retreated from the British onslaught in November 1776. The school was used until 1902. The building was relocated to the grounds of the Newark Museum in 1938. Now, this building is now a National Historic Landmark. Next slide, please. The Sydenham House was built in 1712 with Newark series brownstone. It is the oldest private residence in the Newark area, and it is registered as a historic landmark. It's located in right opposite Branch Brook Park in the Forest Hills section. Next slide. The old Essex County Prison was originally built in 1837 and closed when a new jail was completed. It was designed by John Haviland, who also designed the haunting Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia. If you've never been, it's fantastic. Its walls consist of Newark series brownstone, and it's located just south of the old Morris Canal at the open cut subway system at Norfolk Street Station. Next slide, please. The Mount Pleasant Cemetery, located near the Forest Hills section, was the vision of Horace Baldwin, a jewelry maker, in 1843. Its Gothic Revival gatehouse was designed by noted architect Thomas Stent in the Newark series sandstone or brownstone. Its design resembles the Brooklyn's Greenwood Cemetery, which was designed also in the Gothic Revival style by Richard Upjohn in 1838. The gravestones in this cemetery read like the who's who of Newark and New Jersey history. Peter Valentine, founder of Valentine Brewery; John Dryden, founder of Prudential Insurance Company; and Franklin Murphy, founder of Murphy's Varnish Company and governor of New Jersey. Next slide, please. And here we see the mausoleum of John Dryden. In 1875, John Dryden founded what would become the Prudential Life Insurance Company in a basement office in Newark. The company was called originally Widows and Orphans Friendly Society, then the Prudential Friendly Society. It sold only one product in the beginning, burial insurance. Next slide, please. Speaking of Prudential, we're looking down from the old Prudential building on Broad Street. This is the rooftop view from its 1885 Romanesque revival structure designed by George B. Post. It was designed in gray Indiana limestone. It was located on Broad and Bank Streets and was demolished in 1956 and replaced with today's buildings. George B. Post was also involved in designing several of the mansions in Manhattan's Fifth Avenue, and also he designed the New York Stock Exchange. In the distance, on the right, you can see the early stages of construction of Newark's Cathedral Basilica of the Sacred Heart. And in the further distance, you see the Watchung Mountains. Next slide, please. And this was the building, Romanesque revival, designed by George B. Post. Next slide, please. This was the kind of the logo of the Prudential. It's basically the Rock of Gibraltar. The Prudential has the strength of Gibraltar, and you'll notice the fleet. This is about a 1900 advertisement, and you'll notice the fleet of ships, military or Navy ships. They look like the USS Maine, a whole fleet. Anyway, next slide, please. I think we're missing a slide. Anyway, Military Park has a monument called Wars of America, designed in 1926 by Gutzon Borglum, which depicts soldiers from all of America's wars, including the Revolutionary and Civil Wars. He also designed the seated statue of President Lincoln, located in front of Newark's old state courthouse on Springfield Avenue. And he received Mount Rushmore, which was designed by the same sculptor, Gutzon Borglum, between 1927 and 1941. He did not see it completed. Let's go to the next slide. I think we reversed some, yeah, so we reversed 2 slides. All right, not a problem. So we're looking at the Military Park Monument, Wars of America. Next slide, please. Now, since we're in the Military Park area, we're looking at NJPAC, which is basically the symbol of Newark's rebirth and revitalization. Was built on the site of the old former Valentine Brewery in 1997. But my question is, what is that beautiful sculpture on the right side of this image? It's like a portal and made out of limestone, and it's just beautiful. And you really can't walk through it. There are wild grasses growing there, and there's a fence, and there are no signs. And I've been asking people up and down the road, and nobody, I asked at the library, and nobody knew, until finally, next slide, please. We see the Newark Military Park, rather the Hotel Military Park, which was originally designed as the Newark Athletic Club in 1922, located at 16-18 Park Place. And it operated as one of the nation's largest athletic clubs. In 1943, it was converted into the Hotel Military Park. The limestone front entrance portal with its Corinthian columns was salvaged when they demolished the hotel to make way for NJPAC. It has been reconstructed in the front lawn of NJPAC. So if you look down at street level, you see those arches. There are 5 arches. The middle arch is that portal. So if we go back 1 slide, if we can do that, there you see it. There's your portal on the right side. So it was saved from the old Military Park Hotel. Let's go 2 slides forward now. Okay, very good. And here we see Valentine Breweries and Malt Houses. Was a 40-acre industrial city within a city. It had 4,500 employees working around the clock, producing 4 million barrels of ale and beer a year. It was founded in 1840 by Peter Valentine, who emigrated from Scotland. Following the death, his death and his 3 sons, the company was purchased by George G. Frelinghuysen, hard to pronounce. In May 1972, after nearly a century of brewing, the plant shut down for good. So this is and then they built the NJPAC on part of this site. And you'll notice the Passaic River is in the lower left, or rather lower right part of this image. Continue next, please. And here we see the John Valentine House, located at 49 Washington Street. It was designed by George Edward Harney in 1885 in the Dutch Renaissance style. It is now part of the Newark Museum, and it became that in 1937. Next slide, please. We're looking at the Cathedral Basilica of the Sacred Heart. The fifth largest cathedral in North America is the seat of the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Newark. Construction began in 1899 and was completed in 1954. It was originally designed by Jeremiah O'Rourke in an English-Irish Gothic style. He erected 24 nave and ambulatory columns upon which the weight of the clerestory and Gustavino vaulting would rest. As work continued, it was noticed that a dangerous shift in position as the weight of the stone resting upon the granite shafts increased. The architect was immediately dismissed. Next slide, please. Here we see the construction, early construction of the cathedral. He was replaced by architect Isaac E. Ditmars, who immediately removed all 24 columns. He directed that the rock bed be leveled and the column foundations reconstructed. Steel girders were used to reinforce the superstructure. He replaced the English-Irish Gothic design with a French Gothic design. He also reduced the height of the front tower from 333 feet to 232 feet. During Pope, next slide, please. There you go. Wow. During Pope John Paul II's visit to the United States in 1995, the Cathedral of the Sacred Heart was elevated to a basilica to become the Cathedral Basilica of the Sacred Heart. It is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Next slide, please. We're now in Branch Brook Park. And in 1920, well, the park was designed by Frederick Law Olmsted Jr. That's not the original Olmsted, that's his son. The original Olmsted designed Central Park and Prospect Park in New York City. But in 1927, Caroline Bamberger Fold donated 2,000 Japanese flowering cherry trees to display in Newark's Branch Brook Park that would rival that in Washington, D.C. Caroline Bamberger Fold was Louis Bamberger's sister. Felix Fold was Louis Bamberger's partner. Next slide, please. Speaking of the Bambergers, here we go. Bamberger department store. Louis Bamberger purchased inventory from a bankrupt store, Hill and Crag, in 1892. He called his two-story store L. Bamberger Department Store. It was located at 145-147 Market Street. 1912. So that will be, we're standing now, left to right would be Market Street. We're looking northward along Halsey Street. Next slide, please. We're now looking south along Halsey Street. This is a contemporary shot. And if you look to from the top down, you'll see the two letters BA are erased, but you see Bambergers. So that still remains to this very day. And that was the original Bambergers. Next slide, please. So in 1912, the company built its neo-Gothic flagship store at 131 Market Street. It was designed by Jarvis Hunt, who later designed the Newark Museum following a gift from Bamberger. Bamberger also donated funds for the construction of Newark Beth Israel Hospital and the YMHA of Newark on High Street. Felix Full and Louis Frank joined Bamberger as partners in 1893. The store ranked among the nation's largest. In June 1929, R.H. Macy from New York purchased the store, but kept the name Bamberger's until 1986. It was officially closed in 1991. In 1922, WOR radio station was created by the Bamberger Broadcasting Service. They broadcast opera and morning gym classes. There was a branch of the Newark Public Library and the United States Post Office on the premises. Bamberger treated his workers as family. If they went off to a war, let's say World War I or World War II, their jobs were waiting for them when they returned. Bambergers would sponsor the annual Thanksgiving Day Parade from 1931 to 1957. In more recent years, the building is occupied by high-tech telecommunication companies and computer tech support industries. Next slide, please. Speaking of high tech, well, back in the 1920s, we're looking at the interior terrazzo tile mural by Alfred Flogel in the New Jersey Bell Telephone Company building located at 540 Broad Street, opposite Washington Park. It was built in 1929 and designed by Ralph Thomas Walker. Next slide, please. Now we're going to see a whole series of sculptural details, gorgeous sculptural details on the exterior of the old New Jersey Bell Telephone Company building. They represent linemen, repairmen, telephone operators. So let's go through this. We'll just spend like 5 seconds for each one. An operator, maybe. That's the operator. Okay, next. And okay, we'll stop here. And this was somebody looking up in the phone directory. Remember the phone directories? I don't know if anybody remembers phone directories. So anyway, the design of the hair kind of looks like it's Assyrian. The clothing looks like it's from a Buck Rogers movie, or the Emperor Ming in the 1936 Flash Gordon series starring Buster Crabbe. But it's just fun stuff right here in the heart of Newark. Next slide, please. Okay, next. Okay, we're now looking at the Newark City Hall, designed in 1902 in the Beaux-Arts style by architects John H. and Wilson Ely. WPA artist Michael Lenson painted the history of Newark in the council chambers. Next slide. Next, please. Okay. We're looking at the history of Newark, and we see here Robert Treat encounters indigenous Indian in Newark in 1666. And you'll notice on the bottom of the mural, there's a turtle and a dead deer. Next slide, please. And here we see trading goods with the Indians. Next slide. One of the major industries of Newark was tanning. And here we see some of the tanners at work. But you'll also notice on the right side of this image, the inclined plane with one of those barges coming down the hill. Next slide, please. Beautiful early transportation modes, including horse-drawn carriage and steam locomotives. Next. Okay, we're looking now at the main entrance to Week High School, located at 279 Chancellor Avenue. It was designed in 1932 in the Art Deco style by Gilbert and Battelle. In 1950, Wickwick was rated one of the most outstanding high schools in the country. As you enter the lobby, you will be enthralled by a set of murals called History of the Enlightened Man by Michael Lenson. Now, that's kind of deceiving, Lenson. He was actually the brother of humorist, educator, writer, and television host Sam Levinson. So just take off the Ven, and then you get Lenson. Next slide, please. This is when you come into Week High School. You'll see this mural depicts heroic figures and idyllic scenes of medical care for children, workers building up America during the Depression years, skyscrapers. This was created in the 1930s. Skyscrapers rising in the major cities, that would be on the left side. Hydraulic dams such as Hoover Dam supplying power for the cities, that would be in the center on the right, on top. Center on top. And then notice the muscular figures. Look at the hands. Again, this is like the Ben Shahn and Diego Rivera style WPA artists at work. Also, I noticed, you'll note on the right side, it looks like an X-ray machine or some kind of medical device. But they're very muscular images. Everybody's got strong muscles. Even the baby on the right, he's got muscles all over the place. Wonderful stuff. Next. Actually, this is being restored. They just got a grant and they are restoring this mural. I took the photograph before the restoration and I enhanced the image, and I got this view. Next slide, please. Okay, we're now going to show some of the revival sections. This is the northernmost section of Newark, north of Forest Hill. It's the old Tiffany Manor. In June 1887, Louis Comfort Tiffany built a Romanesque style factory for sterling silver plate jewelry. The building has recently been converted into luxury housing. It is located at the north end of the city, and you see the railroad tracks. And let's go to the next slide. You can see the name, Tiffany, what's it say? Tiffany silver plate jewelry. There you go. Next slide, please. And here we see the trucks, the delivery trucks for the Murphy's Varnish Company of Newark, New Jersey. It was organized, the company was organized in 1860 and built its factory at 225-239 McWhorter Street in the Ironbound section in 1886. The building has been turned into luxury residential apartments. Let's go to the next slide, please. And then here we see the name entablature, which is still there. Murphy and Company, 1865, organized, built 1886, and the logo of the firm on the bottom. And the next slide shows you the actual building with a beautiful mansard roof, like a two-story, actually a three-story mansard roof with the chimney, and it's now residential. Next slide, please. And this is our final slide of the program. It's the Waverly Avenue Elementary School, and they went on a class trip. And we're going to read on the left side. I just love these faces. They're so eager to learn, they're just really willing to see the future. It's a wonderful picture. It dates from the circa 1955. And the sign on the left basically describes highlights of the school trip included. We get on the bus at Waverly and 18th Avenues. We pay the 5 cents to the driver of the bus. On our way, we pass the 18th Avenue School. We see many stores. The bus passes High Street. We pass the Hall of Records. In front of the Court of Justice is a statue of Lincoln. Downtown, we see hamburgers, banks, movies, parks, traffic, a lot of traffic, museums, library, and many other things. The last stop is the Hudson Tubes. This photograph, again, is dated from 1955. So this is our program for tonight. It's basically a brief look back at time of old Newark, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some things. I had a lot of fun doing the research, and if anyone is interested in getting a copy of the book, it is available at the Newark Public Library. Also, you can order it from me. You can go to my website at israelowitzpublishing.com and hit the link to books, and then just start looking for the book. And thank you very much.
And thank you, Oscar. That was terrific.
It worked.
It worked this time. Yes, it was wonderful. It's it's a lot of research went into that.
Yeah.
We don't have any questions in the chat box yet, but I do have a couple of questions of my own. I'm curious, why Newark? I mean, most of your books are about New York City. Why did you choose to focus on Newark for one of them?
Because it's a miniature of all of my studies of architecture. You've got buildings designed by Richard Meyer. You've got buildings designed by, who designed the Woolworth building? Same architect designed, and you have the subways, you have construction, and you have, I just love history in general. And why Newark? Why not Newark?
Yeah.
It's a great place.
And can you describe some of the research you did that went into this book when you first started to focus on Newark? How did you go about researching the book?
Well, I spent a lot of time at the Newark Public Library, working with you, going through your photo collection, and I went to all of the buildings involved in this project. I had to get permission to photograph a lot of the interiors, and I had tours. I used to give tours of Newark for groups. We came from all over the metro area, and they went to NJ-PAC. They had a tour, and then we went to the old sections. We went to Week Creek section, Clinton Hill section, and so it was like a Jewish Newark tour, and then it evolved into a general history. And George Washington was routed there. So,
Yeah.
so we have
Well,
a lot of history.
Yeah, he was fleeing the British when he went.
Yes.
Do you have any more? Do you have any more plans for books about New Jersey? Any other books about New Jersey?
At the moment, I'm on a holding pattern. I would like to explore some of the old Morris Canal, which is still around. Parts, bits and pieces are, they've been turned into state parks where you can jog and bike and whatever. So it's a very rich history. New Jersey in general is a very, I may be moving to New Jersey, who knows?
Yeah.
I live in Brooklyn now. Oy.
So, oh, okay. So yeah, we have a few comments in the chat box. The Krueger Scott Mansion is now being developed by an organization called Makerhoods Newark. I think you talked about this. This was
right.
You talked a little bit about Rutgers too. It will house a resource and economic center for craft entrepreneurs and small business owners with accompanying affordable apartments and studio space for 10 lucky applicants. Okay, that was Lisa Duggan.
But the original plans were basically scuttled, turning into an African cultural center.
Yeah, that was an earlier plan back in the 90s. Never really developed to much beyond just plans being made. Now, Elizabeth Del Tufo, local historic preservationist, does do some tours of Newark, or she did until a few years ago. Emily Manns is another local person who's also the head of the Preservation New Jersey now, and she does tours. And her group is called Have You Met Newark? Someone said they love it. My hometown, Louisa Ponce or Ponce said on Facebook she loved it. Her hometown. I don't see any other questions. If anyone has any questions, please type them in.
I am planning on doing a Zoom program on Jewish Newark.
Oh, that'd be
I've
terrific.
got a lot of information on the old section on Prince Street and Springfield Avenue and Clinton Hill and Weequahic. And there's a lot of, it intermingles some of the stuff we've seen today with the old neighborhoods. So people love that stuff.
Yeah. That'd be great. That'd probably be really popular. We should talk. Well, it looks like since nobody has any other questions, I just thank you. This was terrific. Obviously, a lot of work went into your presentation. And thank you to everyone in our audience tonight for taking part. Good night, everyone. Be safe.
Good night.